word, every action is controlled. This is Eritrea, Africa's North Korea. Political prisoners vanish, secret prisons hide on remote islands, and a government controls every aspect of life. What they don't want you to see runs far deeper. Brace yourself for 13 shocking things they always hide. Let's start with Eritrea's capital. At first glance, Asmara's streets are peaceful, its Italian colonial architecture glowing under the sun. But beneath the calm surface, shadows move. The government's grip is iron, and whispers of fear flow through the city like an undercurrent. Eyes follow you, informants everywhere, listening to every word. In Asmara, a careless slip of the tongue could be a death sentence, with arrests happening in the dead of night, unseen by the world. Beneath the beauty lies a network of underground prisons and secret police, creating a silent terror that rules the city. Fact number 12, the secret prison network. Now, let's dive into Eritrea's secret prison network. Political dissidents, journalists, and anyone suspected of opposing the government vanish into these hidden facilities, many never returning. These aren't ordinary prisons. Inmates are crammed into metal shipping containers under blistering heat, with temperatures reaching 50 degrees Celsius. Amnesty International has identified 34 of these sites, though the real number may be far higher. Some are buried underground, others in remote deserts, far from any help. No charges, no trials, just endless suffering for their families. This vast network is the tool of President Isaias Afwerki, crushing opposition and breaking the spirit of Eritrea. Fact number 11, no constitution, no elections. In 1993, Eritrea gained independence, with promises of democracy and hope filling the air. But since then, the nation has been locked in a political limbo. President Isaias Afwerki has ruled with absolute power for over 3 decades. No constitution, no elections, no limits. The dream of democracy that once lifted the spirits of Eritreans has faded into a distant memory. Shockingly, since independence, not a single national election has been held. Afwerki's government holds all the power, and dissent is met with brutal consequences. Those who dare to speak out risk disappearing without a trace, leaving Eritreans living in constant fear under a regime that crushes any glimmer of opposition. Fact number 10, economy doesn't exist. Eritrea's economy is a barren landscape, tightly controlled by the state with little room for private businesses to thrive. Most people live in extreme poverty, relying on subsistence farming just to survive. In urban areas, the few businesses that exist are under heavy government oversight, crushing any chance for growth or innovation. Making things worse, nearly 40% of Eritrea's GDP comes from remittances sent by Eritreans living abroad. But even this lifeline is heavily taxed by the government, exploiting those who fled the country. Basic financial services are nearly non-existent, and the banking system feels like it's stuck in another era, isolating Eritrea from the global economy. In such a bleak environment, hope for economic progress remains distant. Fact number 9, religion under strict control. In Eritrea, even religion isn't free. The government only recognizes 4 faiths: Orthodox Christianity, Sunni Islam, Roman Catholicism, and the Evangelical Church. Step outside these boundaries, and you risk everything. Followers of unrecognized religions face persecution, arbitrary arrests, and even torture for their beliefs. Even those within the approved religions aren't safe. Their activities are closely monitored, with the government seizing control of institutions like Catholic schools. Unregistered groups meet in secret, whispering prayers in private homes, constantly evading the authorities. The regime justifies this control under the guise of fighting extremism, but in reality, it's a tool for social control. Fact number 8, Eritrea's daily struggle for survival. In Eritrea, daily life is defined by food shortages and strict rationing. Essential goods like sugar, flour, and cooking oil are often in short supply, with the government controlling how much each family can receive. Fresh produce and meat are rare luxuries, out of reach for most Eritreans. The rationing system forces people to live with less, as families struggle to make do with what little they are given. In a country where survival depends on government handouts, food insecurity is a harsh reality that Eritreans face every single day. Fact number 7, Eritrea's digital isolation. Eritrea has one of the lowest internet access rates in the world. Only about 1% of the population is online. This extreme isolation cuts most Eritreans off from the digital world, leaving them in an information void. For those few who do have access, the government keeps a tight leash, Social media platforms like Facebook and Twitter are blocked, and independent news sites are heavily censored. Internet cafes, the main lifeline to the web, are closely watched by security agents, creating an atmosphere of fear. The state-run Eridel controls all telecommunications, allowing the government to monitor and control access. Internet speeds are painfully slow, and home connections are both rare and expensive. These restrictions don't just limit access to information, they stifle education, economic growth, and freedom itself, all under the guise of national security. Fact number 6. Almost no cars. In Eritrea, owning a private car is a rare luxury. Strict government controls make vehicle imports outrageously expensive, forcing most Eritreans to rely on their feet to get around, often trekking miles under the scorching sun. Public transport is no better. Old, creaking buses crawl along broken roads while overcrowded minivans struggle through chaotic city traffic. In rural areas, bicycles with rusted frames carry farmers and children across dusty landscapes. This lack of transportation isn't just an inconvenience. It's a reflection of Eritrea's deep economic woes and a tool of government control. By limiting mobility, the regime restricts freedom of movement, keeping its grip on society even tighter. Fact number 5. Eritrea's cultural isolation. In Eritrea, entertainment options are shockingly limited, a clear reflection of the government's tight grip on society. State-run television dominates, offering a dull stream of heavily censored content. People gather to watch, not out of excitement, but simply because there's little else to do. In this cultural void, traditional Eritrean music and dance stand out as rare expressions of identity and pride. But the lack of diverse entertainment is no accident. It's a calculated move to control access to information and outside ideas. By keeping Eritreans isolated from global influences, the regime stifles creativity and ensures its grip on power remains unchallenged. Fact number 4. Polygamy and power. In Eritrea's Muslim communities, polygamy is permitted under Islamic law, though it has become less common today. This practice reflects the control over sexual relationships and reinforces the patriarchal structure of marriage in these areas. While polygamy is religiously acceptable in some circles, the majority of Eritreans who are Christian follow monogamous traditions. Yet, the contrast between these practices highlights deeper social and cultural divides within the country. In both cases, these norms reflect broader systems of control, whether through religion or social expectations, over personal relationships and the role of marriage in Eritrean society. Fact number 3. Forced marriages. In some rural areas of Eritrea, women are still forced into marriages, often arranged by their families to secure financial or social status. Though these marriages are declining, they remain a grim reality in poorer, traditional communities. These marriages trap girls in a cycle of poverty, with early pregnancies cutting off any chance for education or personal freedom. For many, their future is decided long before they can even dream of it, as forced marriages continue to rob young girls of their childhood, health, and hope for a better life. Fact number 2. The islands where people vanish. Off the coast of Eritrea lies the Dahlak Archipelago, a remote group of islands in the Red Sea that few can access. But these islands hide a dark secret, rumored to be home to secret prisons where political prisoners and military deserters are sent, never to return. Dahlak Kabir, the largest of these islands, has been linked to countless disappearances, with whispers of prisoners vanishing into the abyss. The isolation of these islands makes escape nearly impossible, turning the archipelago into a haunting symbol of Eritrea's brutal repression. If you're sent here, you may never see the outside world again. Fact number 1. Eritrea's desperate escape. Eritrea is experiencing a mass exodus, with one of the highest emigration rates in the world. Thousands flee each year to escape the oppressive government and indefinite military conscription. Their journey is fraught with danger, as many attempt to cross the Sahara and Mediterranean, facing extreme risks like violence, kidnapping, and torture. In 2015, Eritreans made up the largest group crossing the Mediterranean, and by 2016, they were the second largest. Despite these dangers, 90% of Eritreans who make it to Europe are granted asylum, proving the desperation behind their escape. Yet, restrictive migration policies force many into the hands of smugglers, leaving them vulnerable to life-threatening conditions. Eritrea's mass exodus is a stark cry for international protection and safer migration routes. Before you go, here's something to think about. What would you do if your freedom was taken away? If you found this video eye-opening, make sure to hit that subscribe button and join us for more shocking insights from around the world. Welcome to Singapore, where love, passion, and strict laws collide in the most unexpected ways. Imagine a city where nearly half of its young adults are embracing casual hookups, yet walking naked in your own home could land you a $2,000 fine. From fiery encounters that happen fast to an underground world of panty vending machines and public trysts in nature, this city doesn't hold back. But that's just the start. Stick around as we dive into the thrilling, spicy, and controversial side of Singapore you never knew existed. Let's start with hot information. There's a growing hookup culture among the city's young adults. A recent study from the National University of Singapore revealed that 40% of those aged 18 to 30 have participated in casual encounters or friends with benefits arrangements. This trend shows a shift towards quicker, more intimate connections, where commitment takes a backseat to spontaneity and freedom in relationships. But while Singaporeans might be quick to embrace casual relationships, there are some things you can't rush, like privacy. In fact, if you're not careful, even walking around naked in your own home could land you in trouble. Under Singapore's strict laws, appearing nude in public view, even from a private space, could cost you up to $2,000 or 3 months in jail. So, before you get too comfortable, make sure no one's watching. Privacy is taken seriously in Singapore, and that extends beyond your home. Connecting to someone else's Wi-Fi without permission is not just frowned upon, it's a criminal offense. Unauthorized access can lead to fines of up to $10,000 or even 3 years in prison. With technology woven into the fabric of daily life, cybersecurity breaches like hacking are no joke, and Singapore takes firm action to protect its digital landscape. Did you know 65% of Singaporeans prefer their intimate moments to be spontaneous and fiery? In a city where everything moves fast, so does the romance. According to the Durex Sexual Well-Being Survey, Singaporean women report having intimate relationships more frequently than their regional counterparts. With hectic schedules, it's all about shorter, more intense encounters, making every second of passion count in a city that never slows down. With all that fiery passion, Singaporeans certainly know how to make the most of their fast-paced lives. But beyond romance, there's something else they excel at: homeownership. In fact, over 80% of Singaporeans live in government-built HDB flats, a hallmark of the nation's urban planning success. Thanks to subsidized prices, around 92% of the population owns their home, making Singapore one of the top countries for home ownership. These communities are more than just homes. They're complete neighborhoods with parks, schools, and shops close by. But it's not just your home that needs attention to detail. Even forgetting to flush a public toilet could land you a fine of up to $500. While most restrooms now have automatic flushers and enforcement is rare, this quirky rule still highlights Singapore's unwavering commitment to cleanliness in every corner, even the bathroom. Singaporeans may be enjoying passionate and spontaneous love lives, but there's a surprising twist. The birth rate is one of the lowest in the world. With many couples delaying marriage and children for their careers, fertility issues are on the rise. In fact, about 1 in 6 couples face challenges conceiving, leading to an increase in IVF treatments, as women in their 30s and 40s balance fiery passion with the growing pressures of starting a family. There's another rite of passage for Singaporean men that can't be delayed: obligatory military service. Once they turn 18, all male citizens and second-generation permanent residents are required to serve 2 years in the military, police, or civil defense forces. This national service program, established in 1967, ensures Singapore remains prepared for any threat, while also shaping young men into responsible citizens ready for any emergency. After 2 years of military service, discipline becomes second nature for Singaporean men. And it doesn't end there. Singapore's strict rules extend far beyond the battlefield, even into daily habits. One of the most surprising? Chewing gum is actually banned. That's right. Forget about popping a piece after an intense moment. With penalties of up to 2 years in prison or fines as high as $100,000, Singapore's streets stay clean thanks to this tough law. Just be sure to grab a mint instead. And if you thought the chewing gum ban was strict, Singapore's rules on littering take it to a whole new level. Repeat offenders don't just face fines. They can be required to clean the streets while wearing a bright bib that reads, "I am a litterer." This unique form of punishment is all part of the government's drive to keep Singapore pristine. First-time offenders may get off with a fine, but for those who repeatedly litter, the consequences are much more public, reminding everyone that cleanliness is taken seriously here. And speaking of strict practices, few are as controversial as number 5 on the list: caning. In Singapore, it remains a legal and accepted punishment for over 35 serious crimes, including vandalism and drug trafficking. Reserved for male offenders under 50, caning is performed on the bare buttocks with a rattan cane and can involve up to 24 strokes in one session. A medical officer is always present to ensure the offender is fit for the punishment, adding a layer of control to this severe form of discipline. Speaking of controversy, here's one that's sure to raise some eyebrows: panty vending machines. Yes, you heard that right. Similar to Japan, Singapore has its own version of vending machines that cater to niche fetish markets by selling women's used undergarments. These discreet machines and online platforms spark strong reactions, especially from conservative groups who are quick to criticize this underground trend. And if vending machines weren't surprising enough, some thrill seekers in Singapore are taking their passions outdoors. Despite strict laws and heavy penalties for public indecency, certain parks and nature reserves have become hotspots for discreet, and sometimes not so discreet, public encounters. For some, the risk of getting caught only adds to the excitement, but it's a risky game in a city that doesn't take public misbehavior lightly. But for those seeking excitement indoors, Singapore's nightlife offers its own intriguing experiences. KTV hostess clubs are notorious for offering much more than just karaoke. In these venues, female hostesses entertain male patrons with drinks, songs, and flirtation. And while the interactions may start inside, they often lead to paid companionship beyond the club's doors, blurring the lines between entertainment and something much more intimate. But the exchange of affection for more than just companionship doesn't end at the clubs. In recent years, Singapore's sugar dating scene has exploded, bringing a provocative twist to modern relationships. Younger women, often university students, seek out wealthy benefactors in discreet arrangements where lavish gifts and financial support come in exchange for their time and attention. For many, it's a seductive escape from financial pressures, blending desire with luxury as sugar babies enjoy a life of opulence while pursuing their studies in the heart of the city. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Singapore's wild side, which part shocked you the most? Tell us in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next video.